Hey folks, this is Dustin with PosiRank.com. Welcome to this video about how to identify low quality pages that keep your site from ranking well. I've got a lot of stuff to cover in this one, so let's just jump right into it. I think you're going to really enjoy this video. First of all, let's define low quality pages here. Obviously, these are index pages that give very little value to Google as a search engine. You got to think about the uniqueness of the page, the amount of content on it, and overall, is Google's index better for having this page in it? If it's under 200 to 300 words of unique content, there's a 99% chance this thing's going to be seen as low quality, and that's no good for anyone. Ideally, you should beef this page up to 500,000 words of high quality, unique content. That's going to go a long way to helping your cause. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Let's keep going, and I'll give you an example. If your page on your site is duplicate or has duplicate content on it, either internal or external, you got to rewrite it or get that thing out of the index completely. Here's some examples of low quality pages. At the end of the day, there are thin pages, which have very few words on them. They lack content, right? Under 200, 300 words. And it's made worse if that content is largely made up of duplicate content, internal or external. An example, WordPress creates admin pages, right, that have nothing on it but a login. They have category, tag, author pages. Those type of pages are bad for lots of reasons, and I'll give you some examples in just a little bit. You could have old files, pages that you forgot that were published on your site that really have no value, articles with 100 to 300 words, etc. Those are all thin pages. There's also pages that have a lot of content on them, but they're largely duplicate content, like a category page might be. Thus, the overall unique amount of unique content is really small. Right? That's no good. Both are really important. Having lots of thin pages indexed is very bad. Having lots of pages indexed which are made up of duplicate content is also very bad. So let's keep going with our examples of low quality pages here for a second. Before I mentioned internal and external pages, well, what are those? Internally, we've got the notorious WordPress pages, the archive, tag, category, and author pages. Those would all be low quality duplicate content type of pages on your site. And of course, using the same text on multiple pages of your site. This is an issue, right? You use a block of content that's 200 words or so, like an author bio is a very common one people use across multiple pages. Well, that author bio is adding duplicate content to every page that it's published on. Externally, pages copied from other sites and indexed on yours. This can happen even when it was originally produced by you. So a very common example of this is publishing a press release. You write it, you send it out, it gets published across multiple press release websites, and then you take that press release and you publish it on your own site because you want your visitors and potential clients or customers to see this press release. Well, that's going to be an example of external duplicate content because now this content exists on somebody else's site where it was published first, in fact, and it also exists on your site, indexed in Google. That's the issue. You can publish that press release as long as you no index it to block Google from seeing it. Then you're going to have an okay situation, but that's not what we're talking about here. Let's take a look at a live example. I could talk till your ear falls off here, but let's look at this thing live so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, here we are at a live example. We're looking at firebellymarketing.com. Now, I found this site by searching the term Indianapolis SEO in Google, and this site came up around page 6 or 7 in the search engine result pages. So, obviously not ranking too well. And, I'm looking for an example of a bad site, a site with problems, so I can display those problems to you. When we look at this homepage here, it looks pretty legitimate, pretty professional, very, looks like they've got their stuff together. But when we pull back the curtain, so to speak, we'll see that there are a lot of issues going on behind the scenes. Let me show you how you can find issues just like this for your sites and your client sites as well. First thing we're going to do is highlight the homepage URL, go to Google, and do what's called a site operator search. Type in the word SITE, paste in the URL, and hit search. Now we want to go to the bottom of the index. It goes far down the index as possible for the site, and we'll see that Google's omitting the rest of the results because they're so similar to the 566 already displayed. So we know some bad things are going on here. We're gonna click repeat the search with the omitted results because we want to see absolutely everything that Google has indexed for this site. Now our job from here is to go through each and every page to determine if it fits our quality standards. If it doesn't fit our quality standards, that's going to go in a notebook or an Excel sheet, you know, somewhere where you can keep track of the pages that you need to address later on. So, with that said, let's start digging in here, okay? And right off the bat, our red flags go straight up. Here's why. The home page is not ranking #1 in the index for this site. Now, we can't be 100% certain why that's happening, but it's most likely a combination of on-page as well as off-page factors. So right off the bat, we know that we need to do an absolute full audit of this site. I'm only going to cover on-page factors in this video, but if I were the owner of this site or the consulting SEO, I'd let them know that, hey, we need to do a full audit and take a look at absolutely everything, including the backlink profile. Okay, because there's some serious issues going on. So with that said, let's jump into this thing and start digging around. Okay, I'm going to take a look at this first page here, and right off the bat, it looks like an archive page, WordPress archive page, and we've talked about these types of WordPress pages, right? Archive pages, tag, category, and author pages. These pages are 100% duplicate content. We cannot have Google indexing these types of pages. If you set up Yoast Seo correctly, this will not happen to you. But this site doesn't have Yoast Seo set up correctly, let alone probably even set up at all. And let me show you why it's such a bad thing to have happen to your site. Okay, so if I hover over this blog post title here, you can see in the lower left-hand corner the URL where this blog post was originally published. Now, WordPress, because of the way it works, creates a duplicate of that blog post, and you can see it's put right here on this archive page. Now, it's put on a lot of other places too, but I'll show you how you can find that for yourself. Let's do what's called a snippet search here. We need about 4 or 5 lines of text, and we're going to right click and hit search in Google. And we can see that this content is duplicated not only on the archive page where we first saw it, but also on a tag page, a second tag page. Here's the blog post where it was originally published, and another archive page. The ideal result here is that the blog post shows up and nothing else. Right? One page where this content exists on your site, where it's indexed in Google. Right? But right now this content's indexed on several different pages within Google. So that's bad news, right? But, you know, fortunately for this site, they're using WordPress, and these issues can be addressed fairly easily with that plugin that I just mentioned, Yoast Seo. But there are other things going on here. Let's take a look. Now, other than the fact that this content's duplicated lots of places, archive pages, you know, especially going back to 2008, means that they've probably got an absolute ton of archive pages indexed, right? And every single one of those archive pages add up, right? Think of that teeter-totter example we talked about, right? All these are being added up on one side of the teeter-totter as bad pages, and sooner or later Google's going to penalize the site. So look at all these pages for just 2008. It goes five pages deep here. You can repeat this. We could actually take this, go into Google, search that, and they'll tell us how many pages. Okay, so 67 pages for 2008. If we repeat that search for 2009, we get another 80 pages. Holy cow. These things, they're adding up very, very quickly, and we've only looked at 2 years worth of archive pages. Let's look at 2010. Okay, 76. So you can see right there, there's a couple hundred, few hundred pages that Google's going to look at as low quality. So this site has serious, serious issues. Let's take the archive year off there so we can continue on, keep looking. I'm going to show you some more examples of different types of bad pages. Now, again, your job is to go through each and every single page on the site. Yeah, I know, that could take a long time, especially on a site that has a ton of pages indexed, but it's something that absolutely needs to be done. Fortunately for these guys, with all these archive pages, when we get rid of those, it's going to cut down dramatically on the number of pages we need to examine. So hopefully that'll be your case too. Let's look at this Facebook page here. Okay, nothing there. So you can see why this is a low quality page. There's absolutely no content. So this shouldn't be indexed. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they forgot about it. Maybe, who knows, right? But this is a bad page. Absolutely, it shouldn't be indexed. Or they should add content to the page. So let's keep going here. Again, you can see all these archive pages. Just the sheer amount of archive pages is astonishing. Okay? I think, they have somewhere around 80 pages per year, and we can see we've got several different years here. Maybe some years they have even more than 80 pages. It just adds up very, very quickly. This site is in big, big, big trouble. Okay, so here's a tag page. Let's take a look at this. It's going to be just like an archive page, made up of blog post content that's already published on a different URL. But these blog posts happen to share the tag Facebook. Okay? So you can see all these blog posts here. Quite a bit of duplicate content. If we do a snippet search here, you'll see that it is indexed on many different pages. So it's indexed on another tag page, several tag pages, an author page, tag, archive, an actual blog post. Okay, and that's it. That's I shouldn't say that's it. That's pretty serious. You got a very big problem when you've got that much internal duplicate content going on. So let's close that down. Let's go back and see if we can find some more good examples of bad pages. And you just saw a word counter pop up there. I'm going to show you how to use this free tool to help you determine quality of pages in just a minute. Here's an author page. Again, this should not be indexed because it's going to be a page full of blog posts that Duncan published on a different URL. Okay, so this is more bad news here. Let's do a quick snippet search again, just to confirm. It's good to do a couple snippet searches to confirm that the content is duplicated across multiple pages, or not for that matter. So when I do this snippet search in Google, we'll see there are lots of pages where this content is duplicated. Here's the original blog post. Here's a category page. Here's another category page. So on and so forth. Now remember, our ideal outcome is that this blog post ranks #1 in Google for this content, and no other firebellymarketing.com pages show up below it. That tells us that Google, #1, sees Firebelly Marketing as the author of that content, as well as the fact that we have no internal duplicate content indexed for that blog post. Alright, so that's a very important outcome to have. Obviously, in this case, we've got other pages where that content's indexed, so that's internal duplicate content. That's bad. If we scroll down to the bottom here, we'll even see that it's on an external URL. Now, sometimes people will have multiple URLs where they duplicate their content in order to get that content to just take up more positions in the search engine result pages, right? Why settle for one ranking position when you could have 10? Well, that's really outdated thinking, right? You can't do that anymore. You can't just duplicate your content on multiple pages and have it rank. So if you own this URL, you're going to need to recreate this content, make it completely unique. Okay? Then you will have a chance to have both pages rank in Google. Otherwise, you're just shooting yourself in the foot and Google's only going to rank one of those pages. Now, if you were to do a snippet search and you saw your blog post number one and there were external URLs that were not your own below it, that's no big deal. It doesn't matter at all because Google sees your blog post as the author. All right. So those are some very important points to keep in mind when doing these snippet searches. All right. So let's close that down. Keep going here. Let me jump a little bit further back. Oh, here is one that I looked at before. This is a category page. And same deal, right? These are all going to be blog posts that are published in the category of news. We'll do a snippet search and you run into the same issue. And for whatever reason this page isn't loading, we'll skip that one. Okay, so I jumped to the back of the index here, and we can see we've got a bunch of different blog posts here. Now, just because it's a unique URL where that content was originally published, we already know because of all the other issues that this content's going to be duplicated across other pages. Let's take a look at this blog post. Let's see if it passes our quality standards, right? Now this is a different example because this is actually a unique page where other pages that we're looking at like archive category tag pages, they were pages full of just duplicate content published elsewhere. This content was meant to be published on this URL. We can tell it's a unique URL. It's got the title of the blog post in the URL reflected there. So let's do a couple tests to see if it passes our quality standards, right? We need to figure out if this URL is counting against our site or working for our site. So let's check this out. Scan the page. We got a big image. Images are good. You want to have one or two of those per page for sure. The content looks to be, right in the bare minimum kind of range, but I don't know for sure. So I'm going to highlight the content of the blog post. Now you don't want to highlight everything here. You just want the blog post content. Copy it. Head over to wordcounter.net. It's a handy free little tool. Paste it right in and we can see, okay, 276 words. So we don't even meet the bare minimum standards, right? Bare minimum being 300 to 500 words of content. Now you should shoot for 500. 800's better, but it's not realistic to have 800 words on every single page of your site, especially if you've got a very large site. But for sure you want to shoot for around 500. And we're not even close. So right there we know that this is going to be seen as a thin, low quality page by Google. And we know Google's already got this index, so this page is absolutely counting against this site. Add this page to the hundreds of other internal duplicate content pages from the archives and categories and all that, and you've got a ton of pages indexed by Google counting against the site. So it didn't pass our word count test. Let's just do one more quick test, just so you know when you're checking out these pages, you want to do this. You want to do a snippet search to see if it's duplicated on other pages, which we already knew it was going to be, but I wanted to show you this. It's duplicated on a tag page. It's duplicated on social media informer.com, which is an external URL. So we've got a lot of duplication all over the place here. I don't even need to hit repeat the search with omitted results, which I typically like to do, but we don't need to because we know it's duplicated everywhere. So it's got duplication issues and the content is just not strong enough to be a page that's indexed in Google for the site. Just real quick here, it's good to do multiple snippet searches, so let me just do that here. Just for demonstration purposes. And again, we knew this was going to be duplicated other places, but you can see it's in the category tag page, and That looks to be it right there, but I'm sure there's results that are omitted here. If we go down, it's fairly deep index here. Now these other pages, don't even worry about those because it's not the duplicate content, but you can see there's omitted results, and this is going to be all the other places where this content is duplicated, right? We've got tag pages here, bunches of tag pages, so there's just all kinds of problems going on with this site. Not only do they have the types of pages indexed in Google that shouldn't be with WordPress, the category archive tags, but for example, this blog post doesn't meet quality standards. It doesn't have enough words on the page. And I'm sure this is not an isolated incident. Obviously, the site has a lot of issues. They're not real strong on their SEO practices. However, I hope that was useful. It gave you some ninja tricks to check your pages to determine whether or not they fit the quality standards. Let's jump back to the live presentation and I'm going to recap everything and we'll wrap this thing up. Okay, recap. First and foremost, you've got to go through all of your index pages in Google to find the low quality pages that need to be removed or rewritten. The command to type into Google is site colon and then the URL of the site that you're examining. Remember to go to the very last page of Google's index and click the repeat the search with the omitted results included. This is going to show you absolutely every page that Google sees on your site. Your job is to learn to hunt down low quality pages. A large portion of this thing can be fixed using a simple WordPress plugin, Yoast Seo. You gotta do this thing as soon as possible. It's Panda protection. You'll get better results and get more out of the links that you build to your website. Remember, if you've got low quality pages on your site and they're indexed in Google, you are harming the potential ranking ability of your website. So that's it for this one, folks. I hope you enjoyed it and get to work. Okay, we'll see you on the next one.